We're extremely disappointed that Tory did not get the sentence that we had certainly hoped for. I think the sentence handed down was incredibly harsh. I have seen cases of vehicular homicide and other cases where there's death and the person still gets less than 10 years. And this case, to get a 10-year sentence is extreme, and really just another example of someone being punished for their celebrity status and someone being utilized as to send an example. And he's not an example, he's a human being. And I think it's incredibly unfortunate, and it's something that we plan on appealing. I'm incredibly disappointed that the district attorney's office didn't step up and put their money where their mouth was in this case. But hey, that's certainly within their discretion, and that's why you have two sides to the argument.
Can you talk about the motion that
I would have won the case. That's what I would have done differently. I think this case was handled incredibly poorly. The attorney had 2 weeks to prepare for trial, and we would have come in prepared and ready to show that Daystar Peterson was innocent of these charges. So, like any human being would be, incredibly sad and down, knowing that he's not going to be around his child for such an extended period of time, and knowing that he's not going to be able to be there for the countless number of people who are dependent upon him, and for his whole life's purpose, which is to help people and to be a beacon of light for some people. And look, even if you want to believe that he's guilty of these charges, one night and something so out of character does not judge an entire person's life. And I think that I do this for a living for two reasons. One, because not everyone is guilty, and two, because just because someone makes a mistake doesn't mean they should pay for it for the rest of their lives the way this situation turned out. So it's something that we're all motivated to try and turn around and fight for. It's a difficult job, and especially when so many people cry for blood out there.
Can you talk about some?
I'm sorry, I heard one.
Yeah, thank you. You said that it was one night. The judge said today that one of the main aggravating factors was the post-arrest arraignment behavior, the disinformation campaign. That's not one night.
Well, it's not one night, but let's face it. There was a lot of back and forth going on. Both rap artists are doing competing diss tracks, and they both have a platform. And as I mentioned earlier, this is no different. This is no different than other relationships where people turn to social media to voice their discontent with the other. And unfortunately, these two individuals have a much higher, audience, and they're much more in the spotlight. So, post behavior, I'm sorry, I didn't see the level of severity that the prosecution was claiming it was. To somehow indicate, because a person feels wronged by prosecutors, to somehow think that they have a target on their back. Quit crying about that. I mean, he didn't have a problem coming out here in front of the entire world and being in front of the cameras and making statements every day. So he should be a big boy and put his big boy pants on and expect somebody to respond. And that's all Tory was doing, was responding. So I think everyone has the right to respond when criticized and when called out the way he was called out. So that's quite frankly, to try to utilize that when you have the authority and ability and the discretion to prosecute, I think that's a little bit over the top. So
Can you talk about the next step and your motion for bail?
Sure, we're filing a motion for bail pending appeal. And the reason for that is there are significant issues, appellate issues, that we've laid out in our motion for a new trial. We tried our best to lay out, but we have very strong issues for the appeal that we've uncovered. And given that, the law says that he's entitled to bail pending appeal.
What do you think his chances are at the second
Well, as far as the appeal's concerned, I think they're very strong issues, incredibly strong issues that stem from an original fact that his attorney had a conflict of interest that carried out through his trial. Evidence came in that should not have come in about his attorneys and his defense, and the fact that an entire day of testimony went by without the ability to cross-examine, DNA evidence that exonerates him. Prosecutor kept saying that there was misleading, that he was talking about misleading evidence in DNA. That wasn't misleading. What was presented was misleading. Daystar Peterson's DNA was not on that gun, period. And for them to try and spin it by saying he can't say his DNA is not on that gun is a bunch of baloney.
So who fired that weapon then? You're saying he did, his DNA is not on that gun.
Look,
He fired or someone else?
it's obvious if someone shoots a gun 5 times and there's no DNA, it's not him. So it's not my job. It's not my job to prosecute this case. It's my job to defend Daystar Peterson, and quite frankly, I think it's incredibly unlikely to have someone in a high stress situation fire a gun 5 times. It's immediately recovered and swabbed, and the person's DNA nor fingerprints are on that gun. So, you know, let the prosecutors fire the gun. So.
During the hearing, you said that somebody would have to, paraphrasing, be out of their mind to pull a gun pull a trigger 5 times on somebody. And then you mentioned the only reason that they would do that was because of some type of infirmity like PTSD or alcohol. So are you saying that it seemed almost to me like it was an admission, or was that just for the purpose of the hearing?
No, it wasn't an admission. Every single person in that car was drunk that night. So it's not admission. Look, we're in a very difficult situation when a person maintains their innocence and they want mercy from the court. They're supposed to admit guilt to get mercy. I don't believe in that. That's not the way our system should be set up. But unfortunately, it's a way that our system functions. You tell that to the man or woman who does 30 years in prison for a crime they didn't commit, and then have to admit that, yeah, I had at sentencing beg for mercy and show some type of remorse, because that's the only way I would get it at that time. I think that's unfair. I think it's unjust. It's unconstitutional, and it certainly shouldn't be permitted or accepted in our courts.
So are you guys still putting this on Kelsey?
We're not putting anything on anything. I don't prosecute cases.
Well,
So I'm going to leave it at that.
Her Fifth Amendment
I don't.
in comparison to the judge trying to get Tory Lanez to be remorseful by violating his constitutional right.
Again, it's not my job to represent Kelsey, so I'm not going to comment on Kelsey, Megan, or anyone else other than Daystar Peterson. So.
But in the appeal process, do you think that Kelsey Harris will be a factor?
I think the evidence, well, just so you know, in the situation with appeals, the issue is, did the accused receive a fair trial? It's our position, and we think there's significant reasons to say no. And that's what the main focus of the appeal will be, not directed at any one individual. So
What will happen with deportation?
we're nowhere near that stage yet. So, and immigration is not something I handle. It will be turned over to another lawyer at that time.
Total sentence is 10 years.
10 years, yeah, 6 plus 4.
We heard from Tory today. Did you guys know that he was in the seat ahead of time? That's something he decided to do?
It's something he decided to do, and I advised him, look, whatever, if you want to say something, just say it from the heart. Don't rehearse anything. And when you look at this case, why don't you wait and hear everything out, and if you still feel you want to make a statement, make it. And that's exactly what he did. Thank you all very much.
you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you guys.